Hey everyone, so I've made this video to walk you through a new site that I'm really excited about uh, called FBref, and it's a statistics site for world football. And I worked on this site with the wonderful team at Sports Reference. This is their thing. I just did a little bit of information architecture suggestions and stuff like that. I'm just recording this video as a fan just to show you how incredible this site is, and it's exactly what I've been looking for ever since I kind of fell in love with world football about 4 or 5 years ago. Um, I have always loved their site's baseball reference. Of course, it's a mega huge sports site for baseball. Basketball reference is super popular. And the most recent one they've been working on is FBref, football reference, which is just awesome. So let me just show you some of the stuff that they've been working on, some of the stuff that I've been able to pitch in with a little bit. And so, yeah, here we are. This is the home page. So you'll see that it looks pretty similar to some of the others. They've got pictures of players and standings and stuff. So world football is different. It's not just one major league. There's lots of leagues across the world. So there's a different way that it's set up. So there's a way to just simply browse to any players. You can choose a team, then choose a player, or you can view a club by choosing one of the top leagues. And then picking the club from that league. We've also got a new feature on the homepage because we're deep into the knockout rounds of the Champions League, so the tournament bracket is shown here. You can also click to see the Europa League as well. And one of the things that annoyed me about a lot of soccer football statistical sites is that it took so many clicks to dig into all the different leagues to see who was near the top of the table, who the scoring leaders were. So this homepage design allows you to choose your favorite league. For me, that's Germany. So we're going to show the Bundesliga table, the top scorers, and soon here they're going to have the results of the most recent match day. But the homepage also shows a summary for every other league they have on the site. So we've got Premier League, we've got Liga, we've got Serie A, we've got La Liga, we've got MLS, the new MLS season that's just started, the A-League in Australia, we've got Australian Bundesliga, so I can easily catch up on my little affinity with RB Salzburg. I can go all the way down to Belgium, Bulgaria, we got Denmark, we've got everything. They even added Hungary recently. I think I realized I don't really know any clubs from Hungary. And for each of these leagues, you've also got the goal leader, assist leader, clean sheets, and any other additional tiers that they have. Like they have the Scottish Championship. There's the second tier of the Dutch league over here. So it's just a cool way to see the leaders in terms of clubs and in terms of the actual players. So let's do a player search. So everybody knows this guy. We'll look at Lionel Messi. And the top table on a player page is their domestic league stats. So for Messi, that's La Liga. He's got a nice clean table because he's been with one club his entire career. There's the playing time stats, which just has the starts, subs, minutes, and minutes per appearance. Then you've got your basic performance stats, goals, assists, penalties, fouls, cards, and things like that. And then we see those broken down by 90 minutes. Now, will there be advanced stats? Well, this is just a very, very early version, so I would not put it past these folks to get some advanced stats up here, figuring that they're leading the charge on those types of things for baseball, basketball, and more. So yeah, I would love to see some more advanced metrics on here at some point. Then we've got this all competitions table. And rather than showing this to you with Messi, I'm going to show this to you with a more complicated player. Because Messi has just played for really one team. You can see all of his expanded stats by season. So there's his La Liga and Champions League every season. And you've got those two combined, so you can see that across both of those competitions he scored 53 goals in 14-15. Then, of course, you can just see the domestic leagues, which is essentially the same thing as up here, and the international cups, which for him is just Champions League. But I'm going to show you a player who played in a bunch of different countries, has been in a lot of different tournaments, just to show you the power of this table, because it's something I'm really psyched about. So right away here with the domestic leagues, you can see that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang played in more leagues. He's played in 3 different leagues for 5 different clubs. And under the table, you can see all of his totals for each club and then for the leagues. But this is just his domestic totals. He's been in a lot of other tournaments as well. So how can we see his totals across all competitions that are on the site, or just his Europa League's totals, things like that. So that's where this all competitions table is really powerful. So this is the summary view where we have appearances, minutes, goals, and assists for domestic leagues, international cups, and then combined. At some point, you can imagine that domestic cups will be on here. I would love to see that as well, and then you'll get more of a true all competitions total. And I'm really psyched about that coming down the line. I know there's other things in the pipeline first, but I'm excited about all of the things they're doing. So all expanded. So that is what I mentioned before, where we've got both the domestic leagues and the international cups. And there's a thicker bar between seasons, so you can see which ones were in the same season. So you can see here he played with Monaco and Saint-Étienne in the same season in 10-11. And 18-19, we've got the Europa League and the Premier League here. And then we've got the total. So this is across all competitions. Now you can see his Borussia Dortmund goal total across both Bundesliga, Champions League, Europa League, everything we've got on the site so far. So it's 121. So if you go back here, you'll see that that's never mind. Sorry, I forget that we don't have the totals here because we have them here. So yeah, but yeah, this is a very laid back walkthrough. I'm just super excited to show you this stuff. Yeah, so he has 121 goals. The reason we're showing it here and not on that first screen is to keep it much more compact and more of a summary view. Here is where you dig into all this good stuff. Now, if you go into all collapsed, like I showed, you see in 15-16 he had 25 goals in the Bundesliga and 8 in the Champions League. No, sorry, in the Europa League. That was a rough year. So if you combine those, you can see here now that 15-16, he's got the 33 total. So it's just an easier way to see all of the combined totals together. And these footer totals here are the same as here. The only difference is we've got the individual seasons expanded here and collapsed here. Now, domestic leagues, here, this is very similar to the table up here. In fact, I think it's exactly the same. So you can see his totals for domestic leagues across all of the leagues or across all of the clubs. And then here for international cups, you can see he's got the Europa League and Champions League, and that's where you can see his totals by season, then his totals by club. So across all European competitions for Borussia Dortmund, he had 23 goals. Or you can see that he has 15 career Champions League goals, 12 career Europa League goals. So that is that table. I'm really excited about that table. Now, why don't we click into one of these Champions League or Europa? Yeah, let's click into the Europa League, because for some weird reason I'm much more of a Europa League follower. I think it's just such a cool competition. On this page, you've got the group stage where you can see tables that you would always see on this type of thing. Then we've got our knockout ties. At some point, we're going to be splitting these out to show the individual match results. Right now, they're the aggregate totals. And in cases like, do we have any that were tied here? Of course not. But if they were, if we had a tie that was even on goals, it would describe here if one of the clubs won over away goals, or if it would mention if added time or penalties were required. You can see here we've also got the upcoming ties in the Europa League as well. We have the table so far, so this shows everybody that's in the quarterfinals, everybody that made it to the round of 16, everyone that was in the round of 32, I mean. And this is all the teams that exited in the group stage. And you can see their top scorer and their top goalkeeper. And you can see the table by points or goals for, goal differential if you would like to as well. So you can see things like Sevilla was knocked out even though they were plus 14, whereas Benfica's still in the tournament and they've only been plus 3. Although they just came over from the Champions League, so that's in fewer matches. And then you can also see the leaders. So Giroud is leading the way in goals. He passed Monas de Boer. Oh, wow. I had no idea that a player from Bate, not sure which one it is, was leading in assists. But you may care more about the Champions League, so let's jump over to that. So you can either jump over to the other European League here, or you can get to it in this season's drop down, where we've got the Champions League up there among the 2018-19 seasons. So this is the current season. My beloved Borussia Dortmund topped the group, but then got knocked out in the round of 16, and we can see that here, where they lost to Tottenham. And then the quarterfinals are coming up here. So here's one, Man United and PSG. So Man United won on away goals after aggregate score was tied. All right, and we've got the league table here as well, and the leaders where Messi and Lewandowski are on top, 4 goals. And then this is really cool too. You can see the nationalities of the players that are in the tournament. You can also see this on any league page as well. So that's really cool. I had no idea that there were more Brazilian players in the Champions League this year than any other season. Let's look at another season. So let's look at, rather than the current season, let's look at last year's Premier League. And just kind of walk through that really quick. On the league page, you've got some performance summaries and the champion. And you've got the Champions League qualifiers and where they qualified. You've got the Europa League qualifiers, and you've got the teams that were relegated. You've got your table with these handy notes that help describe different things that happen, like since Chelsea qualified for the Europa League group stage by winning the FA Cup. So any strange, because the rules for qualification for European competition can be very complicated, but these will walk you through it. And you've got your leaders and your nationalities. And you can even go to, let's say, the Belgian First Division from a couple years ago. So much smaller. Oh, this is a cool one to show because the Belgian league is crazy. There's the regular season where teams play 30 matches. And you can even see things like standard liège was deducted 3 points as a penalty for crowd behavior. So there's it's got all this information in here. And then what happens is the top 6 teams go to this championship playoff and they play 10 games, 2 against each team. And the rest of them go into the Europa League playoffs. And there's there's a group stage of that and then a knockout stage in that. And it's just crazy. And it's got all of the breakdowns of everything here. And this is the totals across all stats here. Across all of the segments of the competition there. Let's see, what else do we have? Gosh, you can go up here and see clubs from the top leagues. You can see some players in the news. Ronaldo, of course, is a player who is always going to be popular. So you can see all of his stats here. Oh, here's another one that's fun to look at. So Zlatan, you can see all the different places he's played. And this table's really cool for Zlatan because he's just got so many different clubs, so many different leagues. So if you expand here and then see the totals, all these different clubs he played for, all these different competitions. So 15 seasons of the Champions League. He's even got his MLS stats. That sweet goal he scored in the opening day is right there. And you can see all of the international cups that he played in. Despite his long career, that season with Man United was his first time in the Europa League, and he won the thing, which it shows right here. Yeah, so this league rank shows how far the team made it in each of these. And you see in the domestic leagues, it shows where they placed in the table, which he's got a lot of hardware. So I had stopped recording there for a bit, but I forgot to show you something. I gotta go back and show you team pages. So let's look at, say, Barcelona. So this is Barcelona for the current season. So it shows their La Liga stats, but once again, we also have this all competitions table as well, where you've got La Liga, Champions League, and then the combined totals. And you can filter in and see just the La Liga stats, just Champions League stats, and like I said earlier, one day you can imagine the other competitions that they're a part of will be there. In fact, I can show you, if we go to Borussia Dortmund, my beloved. So this is the current Dortmund season. If you go to Borussia Dortmund stats and history, you can get to all their seasons. One that's interesting to take a peek at is, I guess, we can look at last season, because that has not only the Champions League, but also Europa League, because they ended up dropping down by a bit, finishing third in the table. So we've got Bundesliga, Champions League, Europa League, and then the combined here. And we also have separate pages for each of those competitions. So you can see in the Bundesliga, this really just shows their Bundesliga stats and their position in the table. Once the site adds matches, you can imagine that information will go there. Champions League, we can see their Champions League stats and then their table in the group stage. They didn't go anywhere after the group stage, unfortunately, but if they did, it would have been there. You can see in the Europa League, they have their round of 32 match where they just barely beat Atalanta, and then the round of 16 where they dropped to Salzburg. So let's look at, see, will that work? No. That one didn't work. One day that'll get in there. So we look at Real Madrid. Why don't we look at previous season where they won the Champions League here. So you've got La Liga, you've got Champions League, and then if you go to these individual pages for the Champions League, you'll see how they went all the way through. You've got the group stage, you've got round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, and the final. So I could go on forever, but I'll stop there. I love this site. I love what they're doing. I love to have been a small part of it in some way on a couple of these features, and I look forward to seeing what they come up with next. And I hope you really enjoy what they're doing too. It's just a great way to navigate this world of football stats, which is just so much more complicated than my many years of following Major League Baseball statistics and stuff like that. It's so much more complicated because of so many countries, so many leagues, and I think that this is the site that's doing the best job of wading through that and getting you the information you need. Anyway, thank you. Have a good one. Bye.